Like to call to order the July 23rd meeting of the Clive City Council. Would the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Weaver.
Here.
Judkins.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Hawker.
Here.
Gasparotto.
Here.
Very good. Would you all rise and join me with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have the agenda. I'm not aware of any changes.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second on the agenda. Further discussion, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. Next up, we have our citizens presentation. This is the opportunity to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda. If we have anyone in the chambers who wishes to address us, please approach the podium. In the meantime, Pete will check and see if there's anyone online who wishes to address us.
For those online who need to get our attention in the council chamber, you can use the raise hand function on your Zoom screen. At the bottom, you'll see a little heart emoji. If you click on that, a separate window will open up and you can press raise hand. Your Honor, I do not see hands going up.
Very good. Just as a reminder, we support the pillars of character counts and expect everyone to act in a respectful manner. First up, we have an Eagle Scout project presentation. Carson Klein. Carson, you're up.
Hello. My name is Carson Klein, and this past 7 months, I've worked with the City of Clive on my Eagle Scout project. Around 4 or 5 years ago, an Eagle Scout named Matthew Saig started the Keep Clive Clean Eagle Scout project. He made around, I think, 15 decals around Clive, many of which that each and one of us have seen at local parks or community gathering areas. About 5 years later, many of these decals have been hurt over time with people walking through on bikes. Many of these decals are unable to show the message of what Keep Clive Clean truly means to our community. Part of my project was redoing many of these decals. As you can see on the right, there's a few before and afters of what previous decals were and what they look like today. As well, on the left, you can see certain stages of the decal application process. However, my exact project was not just that. I worked with city member Corey on creating a GIS, which is a geographical information system, a map in order to present the information in a much better way. On the left, you can see the map of Clive. Each green dot on that map is a decal that is currently either on a trail or at a park. On the right, you can see what each decal, certain information that you can input and that people can see, such as the location of the decal, the condition that the decal is in, and whether or not it was redone. Overall, there's about 25 of these decals now across Clive. 18 of them I redone or personally added. We have 6 parks which have decals on them, as well as the Clive Water Park, the Clive City Hall, as well as the Clive Library. I also added a clear coat at the very end so that they would last longer.
Very good. Thank you. Questions or comments?
Great job, Carson. Well done for the community.
Carson.
Thank you.
What a great idea. That's a great improvement. Thank you.
If I could add to, when Carson first came and presented the project, we already had a pretty good feel for how the murals would go down. He executed the murals exceptionally well. If you want to see a couple great examples, right out here in front of the library, there's one that's just been done and it looks really sharp. But we need to be able to sustain this and also be able to tell the story a little bit. And so all the work that he did coming up with the GIS strategy to map these is a really significant value for the entire program. And it's going to make all the information much more accessible to broader audiences and folks who maybe want to come and continue the work that he has shown can be done so well.
Very good. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Carson.
Great job. So when do you have your board review?
I'm already an Eagle Scout.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
well, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thanks, Carson. Thanks, Carson.
Next up, we have a recognition for Jeff May.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Well, tonight will be the last council meeting with Jeff May serving as our Public Works Director. a little over the last 11 years. Jeff has served in the Public Works Director position. As very keen to Clive in terms of our nature along Walnut Creek within about the first month of him being here, a couple months being here in Clive. Jeff got to experience one of our floods in 2015, very early on in our community. And then since then has served this community in terms of response to other flood events, 2018 and other ones that we've experienced in our community. But I also wanted to mention during Jeff's tenure, the city of Clive has drastically increased some of our infrastructure investments, particularly in road rehabilitation. And as the council is aware, Jeff has been a very big advocate for those road rehabilitation efforts. Talking to you about every strategic planning, about investments that need to be made and how we can keep working at catching up on that in our community. But also wanted to point out a number of new roads and new infrastructure that was put in place in our development areas during Jeff's tenure. In addition to the formalization of different elements of the Public Works team, expansion of the engineering team that he oversaw as we ramped up a lot of those infrastructure investments, and Jeff giving guidance to the engineers that we have that are actually here tonight as well. On the operations side, a lot of changes enhancements that's also been made in the operations. Jeff introduced the senior operations specialist concept, where we're able to recognize operations specialists who want to take their technical advancements to another level, even though they might not want to progress to a supervisory position. I think that's been a big part of our retention and the Public Works effort. So I want to recognize Jeff here tonight as he retires at the end of the month. We'll have a formal retirement reception a week from tonight in the afternoon over at the Public Works facility for everybody to come and say hi. Again, this isn't goodbye. This is just the next chapter in Jeff's life. So with that, Your Honor, we'd be happy to turn it over to the council for any comments. And Jeff can, of course, come up here to the podium, and then I will give him a gift as you make your comments. So.
Jeff, if you come forward, I'm sure council members have some comments for you.
Well, what's the next step, Jeff? What are you going to do?
Nothing. That's step one. And then we'll see what the road brings.
Yeah. Well, you've done a great job. I remember when we hired you, we were very confident in that hire, and you proved us right, and you did a great job. You represented our community around the metro at the MPO and other places like that. And so definitely appreciate all that you've done for us.
Thank you.
Real quick, Jeff, you inherited a difficult task with not only with the floods, but also with pavement that was crumbling. Let's face it. And so, with the degradation and the river rock content, and you came up with a really good strategy of how to get both a short-term and long-term solution with the partial depth reconstructions and the overlays and the use of asphalt, and it was innovative and cost-effective, and Public Works has been much better left under your guidance. So thanks so much for all your great work.
Thank you.
Well, with our strategic planning effort coming up, it reminds me of how you hit the ground running in some of those early strategic planning sessions. And I definitely felt like we'd made a great hire. So you will be missed during that time. I can't understand why you wouldn't want to stay until those were done. But
Thank you.
It's okay.
Appreciate it.
We'll forgive you.
Well, Jeff, you've just been the ideal Public Works Director for at this point in time. And what you've done, particularly as far as pavement standards, to bring your knowledge base here so that decades from now we'll still benefit, that's just incredible. I mean, you came here with such expertise. You put your shoulder to the grindstone, and we couldn't have asked for a better person this last 11 years. And you've been great to work with. So perfect combination of skills, personality, commitment, dedication. We couldn't have done
I
better.
very much appreciate that. As you know, I'm not a lot of words, but I do want to thank you. The job's not done. I got it started. There's a lot of lifting ahead and a lot of work, and you've got a good person in here to help you move along that way. I do have to say, though, for the council, it's been my honor and my pleasure to work with you. You've had my back, you've had support. We've not always agreed on everything, but we've been professional. We've worked through everything and we've managed to make a difference in this community, and that's all you can ask for. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, and we have a gift for Jeff. We know that he enjoys a glass of bourbon every now and then. So, some water for you. You can if you want, when you open it up. But on behalf of the city of Clive, thanks for your dedication over these last little over 11 years. And I think you'll enjoy it. And the little inscriptions on there by Public Works that every time you tip one back, you'll remember us every time. So appreciate it. Maybe Mary, I don't know if you want to come down and do
Do a shot.
little photo here right in front.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a good idea.
Okay, we just want to be clear.
I gotta get to the meeting first.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still working. Still on the clock to the end of next week, so he's still got some work to do later in this council meeting, so.
Well, Pete, you want to give Rachel an introduction? Does she need none?
Well, it's our pleasure tonight to have Rachel from the Greater Dallas County Development Alliance to talk about what's coming up on our first full year as members of the Alliance. I have very much enjoyed being on that board and have had a chance to not only learn a lot more about things happening in Dallas County, but build some really strong relationships with others who are not just interested in sort of their little pocket of Dallas County, but are increasingly interested in many opportunities that we have here in Clive. Rachel's going to touch on this, but just a reminder, and this is also in your packet, when we joined, we wanted to make sure we were very focused in these first years, that it wasn't just going to be joined because there are good things that are going to happen organically. That will happen, but we also wanted to bring some focus. So tonight, Rachel will be giving us some updates on the work that we've done, focusing on the Berkshire Office Park and also on the Alice's Road corridor. Much more still to be done, many opportunities still ahead. Rachel.
Great. I don't know if I need to queue this up anywhere.
We'll pull it up
Okay,
right here. Okay.
perfect. Thank you. Again, Rachel Wacker, Executive Director for the Greater Dallas County Development Alliance. With me in the room tonight too is Grace Grobe. She is our Senior Project Manager who's been working alongside the City of Clive on some of these strategic planning or development efforts. So tonight I'd like to share a little bit about who we are, how we support businesses and our communities, the key growth trends in Dallas County, and several development opportunities that are helping shape the growth in the Dallas County portion of Clive. The Greater Dallas County Development Alliance is a public-private partnership dedicated to promoting economic development across the county. Our mission is to connect local communities with businesses, developers, site selectors, and investors while supporting sustainable economic growth. As a centralized resource hub, we help businesses navigate information related to available sites, workforce resources, demographics, incentives, and community connections. We'll also work to market Dallas County and its communities as a premier destination to live, work, and play, and invest. This collaborative approach allows our cities to benefit from regional growth while maintaining their unique identities. In addition to the business attraction efforts, we offer several programs focused on strengthening our existing business community. Our business retention and expansion program allows us to regularly connect with employers to understand their challenges and growth opportunities. Our small business grant fund supports entrepreneurs and small businesses throughout the county. And we are working on a video series called Dalco Close-Ups that feature unique characteristics of communities and destinations throughout the county. We also facilitate mayor's meetings, industry roundtables, and community discussions that encourage collaboration among business leaders, elected officials, and stakeholders. The programs help us stay connected to the needs of the business ecosystem, as well as each community's economic priorities, while fostering partnerships across the region. This map highlights the communities that we serve throughout the county. And one of the most significant stories in our region continues to be growth. Dallas County ranks as the fastest growing county in Iowa and the fastest growing county in the Midwest. Our growth rate has been approximately 6 times faster than the overall US growth rate, demonstrating the strength of our regional economy and the attractiveness of our communities like Clive. This growth creates opportunities for new investment, workforce expansion, housing development, and increased commercial activity. Dallas County's key economy is supported by a diverse collection of industries and employers. These companies represent the sectors, including advanced manufacturing, agriculture, technology, healthcare, construction, financial services, and logistics. The diversity of our business base provides resilience to economic fluctuations and creates a wide range of employment opportunities for our residents. It also demonstrates that Dallas County continues to be a desirable location for both established businesses and expanding companies. Another indicator of our region's growth is property valuation. This is information that I found really interesting when it was shared with us by the county itself. Since the fiscal year of 2010, county-wide property valuations have increased by approximately 135%. Rural valuations have experienced even stronger growth, increasing by about 217% during that same period. These valuation trends reflect both continued development activity and strong market demand throughout Dallas County. And for local governments, this growth contributes to the expanding tax base that can support infrastructure, public services, and community investments. One reason Dallas County continues to attract residents and businesses is our strong quality of life. We have more than 100 parks, over 89 bikes and miles of bike trails, and more than 25 hotels serving residents and visitors. These amenities create an environment where people want to live, work, and spend their leisure time. Businesses consistently tell us that quality of life amenities play an important role in workforce recruitment and retention, making these assets a significant economic development advantage. Economic development is most successful when it's built on a strong local partnership. In Clive, we've been fortunate to work closely with city leadership, property owners, and the development community on several strategic projects that will help shape the city's future. I would like to just walk through a couple of those, as Pete had indicated already, kind of what we're focusing on or what our priorities are for the months and years to come. So this first site, the northwest corner of Alice's Road and Douglas Parkway, it represents a future development opportunity that includes 64 acres and has been the focus of ongoing conversations among the city, the alliance, the landowners, and our development community. Current discussions are centering around a mix of housing and high-density commercial development for that space. In the Alice's Road corridor, there's further potential for development on 86 acres, envisioned as a mixed-use area combining residential and commercial development as well. We continue to work closely with the brokers, property owners, and community stakeholders to explore development interests and opportunities or possibilities that align with long-term community goals for Clive. This corridor's location and accessibility really do make it particularly attractive for future investment and growth. And then the Berkshire Office Park site includes 86 acres and continues to see ongoing development activity and recruitment efforts. The vision for this area focuses primarily on professional office and medical service uses. As development continues, this project has the potential to expand employment opportunities, increase commercial activity, and further strengthen Clive's position as a business destination within our region. Given the strategic location of all three of these corridors or these areas, they have the potential to become an important gateway and commerce center for the western section of the city of Clive. So again, we do really appreciate the partnership that we're forming here with the city of Clive. And we look forward to continuing this work and the conversations with the community stakeholders as we look at what sustainable growth remains out on the western edge of the city of Clive. So I would just welcome any questions if anybody has any. Otherwise, again, I really do appreciate your time and your support.
Thank you, Rachel. Ted?
So Rachel, with respect to those various projects, are there specific deliverables that you all are slated to deliver over the next year to 3 years?
You know, I would say yes, there's likely deliverables. I just think we're so early on in these conversations with landowners and their brokers that we still need to flesh out what the landowner's willingness is to have these conversations and what their timeline is. So I do believe the deliverable is ultimately that we discover or identify the highest and best use for these growth corridors. But I think that's still kind of TBD as we continue to listen to the landowners and their representation on when they want to sell or what uses they would like to see as well.
So that, I would say that was what we expected in year one. It's that relationship establishment. And then people recognizing that the city is working alongside the alliance to help facilitate these deals, to keep these moving along. Interesting example of that. We already had a relationship with Signature Development, which owns some number of the parcels that are still undeveloped in the Berkshire Office Park. And over the last 36 months, we've seen a new building go up and a couple others that are right now on the horizon as well. Rachel facilitated just a nice meeting for me to get to meet some of the principals there at Signature to talk not just about that, but to also make sure they had their eyes on what was happening along Alice's Road. So the relationship that Rachel already had there really helped me then get a chance to go and tell that story and bring one more person's attention to this really profitable opportunity that's out there. As the next step, there are a couple things that Rachel's going to help me do with the sort of the, for lack of a better term, the homeowners association or the business associations that's out there in the park to sort of clean up some of the areas of responsibility for the shared spaces, let them know that there is some more momentum coming, and hear what other needs they might have, because the city would like to see those parcels get developed quickly.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yeah, thanks, Rich, for presenting. As we all know, the Alice's Road corridor is a long-term play, and we've been in conversations with those folks for years, so they know what's coming and they can see the construction. Probably the shorter term deliverables is like what you said, meeting with Dave Hansen and Signature, and we've already seen a new development there, and continuing to work those relationships so they can utilize those parcels for further development. Probably see some faster growth and some more quicker development. But really, it's going to be, as you well know, it's going to be a mix of a long-term or short-term plays and continued relationship building. So we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Susan?
Rachel, I'd just like to thank you and your team for picking up the ball as soon as it was handed to you. You have given us momentum and look forward to that continuing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very good.
Right.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Next up, we have consent.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion a second. Further discussion? If not, will the council please vote? And will the clerk please post that vote? And that passes by a vote of 5-0. Next up, we have our public hearing on our SQR. Did we publish the appropriate public notice?
Yes, Your Honor, it was posted in the Des Moines Register on July 6, 2026.
Very good. Pete?
Thank you, Your Honor. Happy to report we're entering into year 5 of the Soil Quality Restoration Cost Share Program. It continues to be extremely popular. We've got a full dance card for this year. We'll see as folks get their estimates who chooses to participate. So the final count will be done as we get toward the end of August, but we're all set to go up to about 650,000 square feet. Similar to what we've done in the past, that should get us to about 80 households in Clive, if not a few more. We do have a little bit of residual funding from the previous year that could help us go a little bit further. We want to see these practices get in the ground and those dollars get put on target. I want to compliment my colleague Julia McGuire, who has been running the program this year. If you've participated yourself, you've received many emails and phone calls from Julia as she keeps things moving along. It really goes from April all the way through the end of November when we're engaging with folks. And then as people see how good the program is, they're telling us, get me on the list for next year, get me on the list for next year. So she deserves tons of credit for sustaining that momentum and really building the reputation of the city. The reputation of this program, though, also very much depends on our contractor. So we had one bid for the program this year, and we were very happy to report it's the A+ Lawn and Landscape. This will be we believe, the fourth year now that they've done it here in Clive, maybe off a year on that. But they've proven that they've got the equipment to do the work efficiently, to do it according to the specs, and to get it done in the window of roughly the month of September when temperatures cool down and people who choose to overseed can then work with them and get a good sort of establishment period with that seed if that's the path they choose to go. The best news in all of this, they came in with the same bid price that they had last year, 11 cents a square foot. That's even with some increased input costs on compost. I do also though want to note and thank our friends at Metro Waste. This program only works because we have such a solid supply of very high quality organic material, compost, that you have to have if you're going to do quality soil quality restoration. So a lot of good things coming together, and we keep learning year after year. And we've already got folks waiting for the program in 2027. With that, I would recommend approval.
Very good. Thanks.
Move the resolution, approve the
Wait,
plans.
wait, wait.
Oops, I'm
Public
sorry.
hearing.
Oh, move to close public hearing.
Wait. Yes. Are there any comments from anyone else?
Calm down.
Now go.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. There being no further comments, would the council please vote? And will the clerk please post that vote? That passes by a vote of 5-0. The public hearing is closed.
And I'll move the resolution approving plan special for the 2026 Clive Soil Quality Restoration Cost Share Program.
Second.
Motion and a second on the resolution. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the council please vote, and will the clerk please post that vote? That passes by a vote of 5-0.
Move the receipt of bids.
Second.
Motion and second to receive the bids. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the council please vote, and the clerk please post that vote? That passes by a vote of 5-0.
And move the resolution awarding the contract to 2026 Soil Quality Restoration Cost Share Program to A+ Lawn and Landscape for $71,500.
Second.
Motion and second on the resolution awarding the contract. Further discussion? Seeing none, would the council please vote, and the clerk please post that vote? That passes by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Next up, Catherine is right here to talk about Discount Tire.
I'm so ready to talk to you guys about this project. It's a big one. There we go. Council members and mayor, before you is a request for approval of a site plan amendment for Discount Tire located at 1229 Northwest 86th Street, which is an RTC3 zoning district. Just a little bit of clarification here. Overall site views, this is the existing condition. This is the proposed conditions. Like I said, a very big project. Generally, we'll go ahead and zoom in. I do have new contacts, so I'm sure that we all need to take a closer look. The proposed updates are pretty nominal. They're proposing approximately 900 square feet of building addition to the east side of the building. They will be required to relocate the dumpster enclosure, as the current location is exactly where the addition is proposed. There is a necessary reconstruction of a portion of the retaining wall in order to ensure structural integrity, as well as adding a pedestrian egress walk around the addition to the parking lot to maintain pedestrian access to the eastern part of the building. I did go ahead and throw in some elevations for you here. The architectural is mimicking exactly what's current. That started fading out. Existing on the building today. They are maintaining the brick and split face CMU, the same colors, and where at all feasible, the same material exactly. North elevation there. See, right, there we go. This slightly discolored area here is simply to mark out where the addition is in relationship to the proposed building, not showing a difference in material. as well as the east and west elevations there. And of course, our new trash enclosure will look exactly like the existing one, just in a different location. I will advise that the updates do reduce the parking on site by 3 spaces. Currently, it has 30 spaces. It will drop to 27. However, that is still exceeding the minimum required by ordinance of 22 spaces. July 7th, the Planning and Zoning Commission did hear on this project. They did recommend approval. While we didn't have any comments leading up to that meeting, at the meeting, a property owner of the Crossroads Shopping Center to the south of this location did raise some concerns with off-site parking. Staff and the applicant are currently working to address both a plan for parking during the staging of construction, as well as a long-term solution to mitigate any concerns related to off-site parking. Property notice was, of course, mailed in the appropriate fashion on June 23rd, and the site was posted. Currently, staff would recommend approval of the proposed site plan amendment. There are no outstanding staff comments. However, we will continue to coordinate on the construction staging and specific engineering that will be required for retaining wall repairs to continue through the building permitting process. Happy to take any questions. I do also believe there is representation on Zoom of the applicant.
Questions?
I'll move approval of site plan amendment.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the council please vote? And clerk, please post that vote. That passes by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Catherine. Next up, we have Snyder and Associates. Jeff.
Mayor, council, you have before you recommendation to approve a professional services agreement for the design of a water main on Northwest 86th Street. As you may be aware, we've had some issues with our water main over there. The type of breaks we've had have not just been circumferential breaks, they've been side blowout. The pipe is definitely failing. It's been a huge impact to the residents and the businesses along there. And so I think it'd be in our best interest to get this designed, figure out where it's going to go. I know in talking with community development and city staff, it's not going to be an easy project to fit in there. We have some requirements along there to stay within the right of way, and the right of way is tight and filled with other things. We'll be looking at that. The professional services agreement, Snyder completed our water study, has our water model, works with us to maintain that and keep it up. So we approached them about putting together a professional services agreement for us. We discussed what would be necessary to get it done. A little extra time in here finding location. I think one of the desires we have is also to make sure we save some place for Mid-American to get underground at some point. So there'll be a lot of work to shoehorn this into the right of way where it's going to go. Nate Karoff with Snyder Associates is here tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer, but the recommendation is to approve the professional services agreement, Snyder Associates, the amount of $212,200.
Questions for Jeff? Go ahead.
So Jeff, this is just for the 212,000, not the 2.2 million portion.
2.2 million is the estimate. That includes the engineer's estimate.
Right.
And includes the construction cost. That's just an opinion of cost, saying if this is what our best guess is at this point, to say what those costs are. We'll have to figure out how we're going to pay for it.
And that will go to bid, right?
Oh, yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, okay, because I was like,
No.
that's a big project to not go to bid.
No, all we're doing is the $212,000 professional services agreement. What you have there is the opinion of cost. The opinion of cost is them saying, this is what we see it costing, just so you have a kind of an idea and a scale of what they base their estimate on and the amount of work that'd be required to put the project together.
And when do we anticipate this kicking off?
Well, kicking off design will start right away. The actual project itself is something that'll have to be discussed during the capital improvements project process. We have several large water main projects that we've identified that need to be constructed, and it will be a major point of discussion during that process.
As the council's aware, we have regular capital improvements out of the water utility, and we have a substantial amount of funds that we put towards capital investment, and it's all cash funded. It's going to be a little bit of kind of putting the puzzle together of the timing. So we have the pump station, we have this water main, and we had other water main replacement projects queued up. And some of it's dependent on if the pump station goes and creates new pressures in a certain area, 78th, 80th Street, We have to be cognizant of how much stress we're putting on those mains. So one of the things that staff is going to be sorting out, we had a conversation about it actually earlier this afternoon, is putting the puzzle together, the timings of when these things can happen. I think our hope would be as we could get this moved up. This wasn't in the capital improvements program, this specific water main, and now has come up as a result of the extensive breaks that we've seen that with this main being under pavement, both the types of the breaks and the water loss that we've had, but also just the amount of cost that we have in removing pavement and replacing it, that we're now seeing how we can prioritize this ahead. But we also want to make sure we fully understand what the consequences are of those decisions before we come back to you with a recommendation. But this CIP that you will see this fall, we'll have this figured out. We'll have it figured out because our hope would be is, again, if we're able to fit this in, we might look at construction next year, depending on if we can fit it in.
Yeah,
But it
and
will
I
not
mean-
happen in this construction season.
Part of my concern was obviously the location, how busy of an area that is, what businesses are being impacted, and how are we mitigating that for those businesses? But it sounds like it's going to be a little while before we get to
Yeah.
it.
Well, that'll be
Staging
part of the
and-
design process. That's something we'll have to look at. One of the main breaks did occur last December. Cozy Casino was hosting a Christmas party that night. We throttled it back as much as we could. We were draining the tower and got it to where we weren't losing out of the tower. We were maintaining our level, and we delayed the repair to let them get through their Christmas party. We worked with them. A couple of the other breaks have impacted them also. So I know that, it's something we need to look at, and something that I think should be addressed sooner rather than later.
Eric?
Yeah, and I applaud you guys really looking at this and being able to pivot. We can get nickel and dime by some of these small repairs, and really we're ripping the Band-Aid off and replacing the water main. So I appreciate that. But Ted, I also understand that it's an impacts business. There's going to be impact traffic flow as well. So our communication plan and working with local businesses and residents as well, it's going to be an important part of this. But glad to see we're moving forward with this.
Yeah, I think several years ago, and Matt was probably a big part of this, that we started, Pete came along. Our communications has improved drastically. I think we do a great job with these projects and getting out ahead of it. Not just during the project itself, but ahead of it, pre-design section, meeting with them, letting know it's coming. 99th Court, we ran into a situation where we had someone that we had to maintain access the whole time. So we kind of redesigned the project to accommodate them. We do look at those situations, and those communications have played a big part. I know our team here, John, does a great job with communications, and we'll continue that for all the projects we do here.
Any other questions for Jeff? Otherwise, we need a
I'll move a
resolution.
resolution approving the professional services agreement with Snyder and Associates for $212,200.
Second.
Motion second on the resolution. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the council please vote? And will the clerk please post that vote? And that passes by a vote of 5-0. Amanda?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm very excited to be before you. Get this display changed real quick. There we go. Very excited to be before you making our recommendation for a housing assistance program opportunities. As you all know, you have been very interested in all things housing for at least the last decade while I've worked here. One of the first efforts that I undertook was the housing strategy series of reports. So the city's been doing a lot in the housing realm. We've done the housing conditions windshield survey, property values, where we've looked at underutilized and well-performing areas. We've done demographic analysis, mapping of home years of construction, some of that to further lead service line identification. And then, of course, the 86th Street neighborhoods had a lot of housing opportunities analysis along with it. So one of the things we've been very fortunate to find is that we don't have an acute problem with housing in Clive. We don't have any neighborhoods that are severely distressed. We might have a few properties here and there that could use a little bit of help, but generally we're in very good shape as far as our housing goes. As a quick reminder here, a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is based on AMI, which is area median income. So these are the income limits for the Des Moines, West Des Moines metropolitan area that includes Clive. And we generally, when we're talking about housing, we look at this 4-person household as kind of a representation of what your kind of average home in your community would fall under. So the most important limits you're going to hear tonight are 80% AMI, which is right around $93,000 a year. And then up to that 120% AMI, which is falling just a little below $140,000 a year for a family of four. That 120% is an important metric because that's generally what's considered to be workforce income and workforce housing. And that's used by a lot of organizations such as the Polk and Dallas County Housing Trust Funds and many other that we partner and work with. So we've specifically been looking into these housing opportunities for a program for about the last 2 years. During that time, we've seen a lot of things change as far as the property tax laws, as well as some restructuring at the city and staff. But so we've come up with a set of goals that we heard input from you all in previous strategic planning sessions and throughout our work on the housing research. So one of the main things that we're looking to further is building and fire safety. A great example of this is back in the, I think, 70s to 90s, there were a few specific brands of electric panel that pose a fire risk today. So we know we have some of those in the community. That's an example of the building and fire safety. We've also seen a lot of improvements in standards for like smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detectors. That's another instance, as an example of kind of what we're talking about there. Another big focus of housing programs tends to be on energy efficiency. So with that, we're looking at things like insulation, windows, new siding, kind of those standard improvements you can make to a home to be more energy efficient. And then we're also looking at things like the aesthetic and functional improvements for a home. Again, a lot of those fall under the same energy efficiency: siding, windows, doors, roofs, sometimes foundations can be functional improvements. And then also looking at attainable housing stabilization. Now, attainable housing is really what we're focused on for folks in that 120% AMI and below bracket. That's the most affordable housing in the community that's serving a lot of your typical workforce. And so we know we don't have an acute problem, but we do want to make sure that those homes stay in good condition and stable, so workforce families can continue to purchase and live in them. And then also looking at resident stabilization for those homes that might be struggling and might be at risk of losing a home because they're not able to maintain it. Another goal was looking at having citywide property owner eligibility. A lot of programs are limited to just Polk or just Dallas County. One of the things we heard from you was you wanted all of your residents to have opportunities. We've also been looking at ways we can leverage city investment, trying to get like a 2-to-1 return on the money the city puts in versus those private investments and other funds we might be able to pull in from other sources as well. We're also looking to try to keep low overhead for staff time and administration because we know these kinds of programs can really balloon in the amount of time it takes versus the impact you're making. So making sure we right size that is really important. And then we need flexibility to support a variety of housing ages and household makeups because we do have a lot of variety here in Clive. With our eastern portion of the community looking quite a bit different than the western portion as far as home ages and sizes. So those are the primary goals that we've been looking at as we make these recommendations. Through our research, we did find some existing tools and programs. The Dallas County Local Housing Trust Fund Owner Occupied Rehabilitation Program is one that the city currently participates in. There is some additional information in the staff report on that, but essentially it's a 80% AMI program. So households making up to that 80% who live in Dallas County are able to utilize that program for critical home repairs. In the last 10 years, we've only had one Clive household that has utilized that. So that could be a combination of just not meeting the eligibility criteria. We know our more expensive homes tend to be in the west portion of the community, but also property owners not being aware of the resources that are available to them. So part of the plan that we will further develop based on your direction tonight will be how we market and get that public information out to folks. Also, Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity has the Affordable Home Repair Program. I had some additional information brought to my attention today that due to some recent additional funds, they've been able to expand those offerings. Previously, they were limited to the 60% AMI, but now they're up to, some of their funding can go up to 80% AMI, which does make quite a bit more availability for folks, which is a really great improvement. They're also looking at some enhancements to the assessed value, looking at bringing that closer in line to what some other regional programs offer. Right now, it's at the 225,000, which is also a limiter for Clive properties.
You think?
Another program that is available to Clive residents, though with limited ability to utilize due to the AMI restriction of 50%, would be Rebuilding Together of Greater Des Moines. And that's really focusing on homes that are getting close to that very low or extremely low income, who would be at greater risk of losing their housing. And then, of course, not immediately seemingly as relevant to housing, but we do have our stormwater assistance program that can help with some functional landscaping needs and address certain things like flooding concerns at a property, along with making stormwater improvements. Then we have all the programs available in Polk County, which are listed on the other column here. And those also have typically limited to the 60 to 80% AMI limits. So it's pretty limited what folks are able to apply and use those funds. So staff has come up with 3 branches or steps to the recommendation tonight. The first would be that we look at joining the Metro Home Improvement Program. The second would be creating a Clive add-on or Clive Plus program that would work in conjunction with the Metro Home Improvement Program. And the third would be looking at emergency home repair insurance partnership. I'll go into more detail on all of these in just a few moments. But I did want to take a moment to explain why we're not currently recommending that the city join the Neighborhood Finance Corp. NFC lending area. Largely, it's due to it would be a very limited portion of the city that would be eligible for participation. We did have several meetings with the executive director there, Ms. Murray, and of the data and information that we discussed, their preferred area would really be just east of 100th Street. We'd had some conversations. We might be able to extend that as far as the interstate for the boundary, but it would be limited just to the strictly east portion of the community. They have a lot of factors that go into creating their lending area that are really outside of our and mostly their control. So that was just going to be a really limited option there. They do have some great programs. A lot of them align pretty similarly to the Metro Home Improvement Program, and there are a lot more loan-based options. But it was just not going to be available to as many of our residents as we were looking for. And so that was one of our goals back at the beginning, to make sure that we had the ability to offer this to all of Clive. And we just felt that at this moment, that wasn't the right move for us if we were going to try to pursue that.
Amanda, let me ask a question on that. So I get trying to ensure the entire community is covered, but as you said, most of our properties on the western portion don't fit the criteria for a lot of this. So how much are we thinking for these programs are folks going to miss out on if they are only, east of the interstate? I guess I'm just not sure how many homes would qualify for most of these programs that are west of that area.
Yep. So
I guess I'm questioning the decision-making on that piece of it.
Yes. So we do have with the Clive add-on program, the assessed value limits that we're going to recommend for that are around $390,000. That aligns closely with the 120% AMI affordable housing metrics that you can get. And at that rate, we did have here, apparently not noted. It's in the report. It was, I want to say around 2,600 properties across the community that would be eligible for that.
There would be.
About a third of those were in Dallas County.
Okay.
So it's in the neighborhood of 800 or so homes that are in the Dallas County portion that would not be eligible. And then a good chunk of the homes in the Polk County portion then would also become ineligible with just the NFC area, just based on that geography. The NFC is also largely based on competitive financing. So many of our homeowners that would qualify to use NFC are already going to qualify for similar or potentially better situated conventional mortgages for these kinds of improvements. And a lot of their forgivable structure is also based on the 80% AMI. So those same households that would really benefit from the NFC have as much opportunity to benefit from the Metro Home Improvement Program.
Okay, fair enough. I guess, and we'll get into this more, I'm sure, down the road, but the counter argument for NFC is that it's much more well-known.
Yes.
And homeowners and realtors and everybody knows what NFC is and that it's out there. These other programs are not very well-known and are
Yes.
going to require the education that you're talking about. So that's the downside to it, right? So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
I have a question
Yeah.
too. Given the limited amount of resources that are projected to go toward this on an annual basis, I'll be interested in a conversation about why we would want to make it more broadly available beyond trying to have the community feel that it's fair to have it available, but it looks like maybe about 4 per year are possible to be done if I'm looking at this appropriately, or less, or depending. I mean, assuming most would be interested in going up to the limit. So to me, there's some value in having it be a little bit more limited, but I'm interested in where we get the most bang for the buck. And I am more familiar with NFC, and just having a comparison of the programs would be valuable, I think.
Absolutely. And the NFC is a great program. I live in the NFC lending area, so I see their signs everywhere all the time. So it is well used, well known, definitely. If after this council says, you know what, we love NFC, we just want to go that way, no hard feelings, we can go that way. I'm sure they would be very excited to have us join. So if that is the ultimate
Stephanie's been
direction.
asking for some time now.
Yes.
Yes.
So if that's the ultimate direction, you know, no hard feelings at the staff level at all, definitely. So back to the Metro Home Improvement Program is the owner occupied rehab program for Polk County. So I said we already are a participant in Dallas County's program, though it doesn't have a lot of utilization, but this would be the equivalent for Polk County. They have increased their maximum assessed value limits for that program. Historically, this program was known as West Help. The city had participated in that program, and I believe it was in 2012 that we withdrew and no longer were a participant in that. So one of the reasons for that was poor utilization due to the maximum assessed values on the homes. Those limits have continued to increase over the years, and they're now up to a maximum assessed value of $300,000, which does cover about 600 Clive households that are in Polk County. There is an income limit of that 80% AMI, as a reminder, about $93,000 for a family of 4. So that is a barrier for some households, though largely where we see that overlap of those approximately 600 houses is a lot of areas we know we have long-term established homeowners, which means a lot more people in or near their retirement years. So the way the financials are looked at for folks that are retired is quite a bit different. So that does expand a lot of the eligibility at that 80% AMI level. So the program is structured as a 5-year forgivable loan. 20% is forgiven annually. And that is filed as a lien on the property. And then if the property is sold within that 5 years and money is recouped from that program, funds just go back into the MHIP program, Metro Home Improvement Program. Or when we get to talk about the Clive Plus add-on program, it would go back into the local program, not the MHIP. There is a limited number of projects per year, and that is largely due to just that program capacity. There are 8 other communities that already participate in MHIP. So we do have the benefit of it being a well-established program in the West Metro Polk County area. And it is administered by the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance. including all of the loan and lien paperwork. They manage all of that as part of the administration costs. There is typically just a single general contractor for this program. They utilize Home Inc., which is a HUD certified housing counselor and does a lot of other HUD related programs or 501c3. So that brings in some additional benefit as well for property owners. There is
You have to use their general contractor?
for this specific program. Yes. Yep. And for this one, there is a limit on the number of projects. It is the 3 projects typically is what can be accommodated during that cycle. Some communities also do have a wait list for the Metro Home Improvement Program that's managed by MIPA. The wait list is. I'm not sure if they have a priority ranking for that or if it's just crossed off first come, first serve based on who was on there first, or if there's a severity of the critical improvements that need to be done. That question was brought forward to staff this afternoon, so that's something we can get more information on from them. And then specifically, I know Urbandale, to help with their backlog, has created similar to what we're going to propose with the Clive Plus program, though theirs just expands the MHIP to clear their wait list of folks. Again, we don't have a ton of properties that need a lot of critical repairs, so we don't expect that we will have a substantial wait list of folks, but it is good to know that we could make funds available to help more folks if we needed to. So this program covers a lot of things that we were looking at through various efforts that staff had undertaken as we explored additional programs and partnership opportunities. So structural repairs, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, insulation, windows, siding, doors, accessibility specific related improvements like ramps, new deck landings, and bathroom facility upgrades would be included. Other home upgrades, like I would like a new kitchen, aren't going to fall under this program. But also sump pump installation and connection to storm sewer is available here, which again is something that could help more on our east side of the community, as much of our western community was built with direct plumbing into the storm sewer system. And the program is structured through a 28E agreement. There's about $7,000 annual administration costs for each community that participates. MIPA took over managing the program a few years ago, so they've been able to reduce that cost. It was previously higher. So we are optimistic that that may also continue to come down a bit in future years through new 28E agreement negotiations with them and the other communities. So every 2 years, the city would contribute $30,000 in local match funds. And in return, you would get about $15,000 in funds back from the Polk County Housing Trust Fund. Because of the 80% AMI cap on this program, it qualifies them to be able to utilize money from the State Housing Trust Fund and other sources. And then that would allow at least 3 home repairs up to $15,000 project cost for each, which is right around that $14,500 amount for their max loan. And then there's a little bit of administration costs through the contractor that get tacked onto that as well for the maximum amount. Any questions on Metro Home Improvement Program before I talk about the opportunity for the Clive add-on?
Proceed.
Perfect. So the Clive add-on program is an opportunity to essentially extend the MHIP program to additional households. That would be through the use of local funds only. Through our conversations, this would still be administered by MIPA, so it would be basically seamless for residents. They largely wouldn't know the difference between utilizing the MHIP and utilizing the Clive Plus add-on program. Through our conversations with MIPA, they estimated about 10% of costs would be for administration, which we thought was probably less than we could manage a program with similar forgivable loan structure and everything in-house, just based on the staff time that would be needed for us to manage those loan documents and other processes that MIPA is doing every day. that would be out of our normal workflows. It would be the same projects as the MHIP, but we would get to set basically the rest of the parameters. So the staff recommendation would be for a $390,000 assessed value limit, 120% AMI limit, and then a $25,000 maximum loan amount for the improvement. So funds in the CIP could be spent sooner if we did see a large influx of folks, but we are looking at this as a 5-year pilot program. So that's about how we've factored out the cost there. There is more flexibility in this program as folks can find their own general contractor or work with whoever they want to get the work done. There is some basic requirements like insurance that have to be met for those contractors, but it is not as limited as the MHIP only using homing. And then, as I'd said, if we do have any sort of wait list on the MHIP, staff's recommendation would be that these funds could be used for anyone making below that 120% AMI, but also importantly that these funds could be stacked with the MHIP. So if we had a household making that 80% AMI or below that needed more than $14,500 worth of improvements, for instance, you need new windows and new siding and you have some rot in the sheeting, you can't really just do windows or just do siding when you have rot there. You want to take care of the whole problem at once. And we know for a lot of homes, $14,500 is not going to cover that. Those homes at 80% or below would likely struggle to come up with that difference and potentially to find their own outside financing. So this is an opportunity to expand those funds to help more of our most at-risk households that really benefit the most from that additional help.
So if that's the case, why did we set the max assessed value at 390?
That aligns very closely if you look at the affordability metrics for workforce housing. So folks making up to that 120%, factor all of that out with mortgage rates and everything, that's approximately the house value that most families at that 120%, it's kind of the maximum end of what they could afford, using the 30% metrics that HUD and other agencies utilize.
Okay.
So things that would not be covered under these programs. So assessed value enhancement projects, really the things that NFC is best for is looking at things like you want to remodel your kitchen, you just want a new deck or a new improvement, new sunroom, a garage or a garage addition or ADUs. Those sorts of improvements would not be covered. One of the healthy housing safety items that we had explored was the ability to add storm shelters into homes. That is also something that would not be covered under the proposal here. And then grading and landscaping improvements, or largely the functional landscaping, retaining walls, things of that nature, also would not be covered under MHIP, or then that would extend to the Clive program as well. So radon mitigation is currently not covered, but MHIP is exploring at their staff level, expanding their program to include radon mitigation. So they're hoping to be able to bring that online in the next cycle. So especially with some of the state law changes we're seeing around radon recently. So we do believe there is a high likelihood that that would be covered in future cycles. There is also some funds left in the budget proposal that could be utilized by the city for a radon mitigation program if that is not ultimately picked up by MHIP.
But we wouldn't be limited that in the Clive Plus, right?
We potentially could, but they don't have that structure in place through MIPA to manage those projects at this time. So it would be a challenge for them to pick that up at this moment. So we would probably be looking at that being an in-house program if we wanted to start being able to offer that
I mean,
immediately.
radon mitigation is typically $1,200 to $1,500. It's not like a $14,000.
Right.
Oh.
It's the pre and post testing is what MIPA had indicated would be a challenge for them at this time in managing that. So that's really the hang up there, which is something that we could administer in-house, and there would be funds remaining if that's something you guys want to do right now. At this point, we were recommending just to hold off for a year. The new 28E agreements for MHIP are slated to be renewed this coming July 1. So that's the time we would most likely see if that was going to be included in the program right now. And we could make the decision to move forward with a local program if we wanted. Any other questions on those home improvement programs? Okay. The other option that has come to staff's attention is emergency home repair insurance partnerships. So these are private third-party company that offer voluntary insurance for basically utility lines. They have a lot of different programs. And some of these companies are the same that do like your typical home warranty when you would purchase a home. So those kinds of additional appliance, furnace, HVAC kind of policies are typically available from these companies, and the city could choose to make those available as well for folks. But this would really be focused on looking at your utility service line repairs. So the challenge with that is a lot of people don't realize that's their responsibility if there is a service line break. Pretty much anything from the main in is the homeowner's responsibility to repair. Those repairs can get very expensive very fast as you start to look at potential to replace sidewalk, have to remove street panels and re-pour, as well as just the trenching and length of a lot of those service lines. It can be quite a shock for folks to have to come up with the funds for those when it is a critical repair that you pretty much have to make if your water or sanitary line is broken. You don't have a lot of choices there. So these providers have networks of local licensed contractors that offer a 1-year repair guarantee. And the city is not currently a marketing partner with any of them, but these partnerships are structured as a marketing agreement. By entering one of these marketing agreements with one of these companies, you get a preferred rate for your homeowners. So for instance, water and sanitary line, service line coverages would range from around $10 a month up to $18 a month, depending on which program you were looking at going with. And that money then, if you had a break, would cover up to, I think it's around $14,000 or up to $30,000, again, depending on the company for all of those repairs. And they have additional riders that would cover if you have street panel replacements, that gets covered by these insurances. So again, this would be a voluntary option for folks if the city wanted to make it available. Essentially, they operate where the city could provide them a list of our utility customers, and then they would use that information with approval of exactly the marketing materials that get sent out that would be endorsed by the city. So folks know that it is a legitimate program being offered. There are some of these, not these two companies, obviously, HomeServe or Encore's, but there are some groups out there that aren't above board necessarily. So it is important when you're looking into these programs to find one that is endorsed by a known organization. So these two programs, HomeServe is endorsed by the Iowa League of Cities, and OnCourse is endorsed by the National League of Cities. Very recently, they've OnCourse, I believe it was just last year, got that endorsement from National League of Cities. So they're breaking in more to the Midwest market, but they're not currently as prevalent. But HomeServe does have quite a few. I think it's 139 participating Iowa communities that have made these insurances available to
They work
folks.
with Des Moines Waterworks, right?
Yes, they do. Yep. So anyone who pays Des Moines Waterworks directly is already receiving these marketing materials. So again, the staff recommendations at this time are these 3 branches: to join the Metro Home Improvement Program, to do a Clive add-on program that would work in conjunction with MHIP, and then to consider emergency home repair insurance partnership. So happy to take any questions.
Susan.
I'm wondering how you would approach administering this, if it would be first come, first serve, if there would be an application period where perhaps a needs-based consideration could be put into consideration in evaluating where the funds would go?
Yes, we did have some very high level conversations with MIPA around that. There would be opportunity to do either if we wanted with the Clive program. The MHIP, I think, is largely first come, first serve, but we could again verify with them on exactly how they manage the wait list when they do have one. Some of their communities don't have a wait list, some do. So that's certainly something we could look into more. We were exploring, can we prioritize those 80% AMI households if they do need more extensive repairs for the Clive program? That could largely be accomplished by a date in the calendar year that you said all applications received up to this time. We're going to look at and prioritize those 80% folks. And then after that, you could make the funds more widely available, or you could just do first come, first serve. Some of that we may be able to adjust to as we see what kind of utilization folks were asking for.
Okay, thank you.
So, so the MHIP, if I did my math right, for 2 years, we would pay 29,000 and we would get 45,000 in benefit. Is that right?
For 2 years?
Yeah. Or would
It'd
it be
be
90,000?
for 2 years in the MHIP, it would be $30,000 from the city going directly towards
But we're
improvements.
getting 15,000 back.
Yep, and we'll get 15,000 back.
$7,000 a year admin fee,
Yep.
so. that's
So we'd basically end
29,000.
up with 31,000 becoming directly available to folks.
Well, but I thought it was like 15, was in the 15,000 a year or 14,000 a year.
For the 2-year cycle, you'd get it'd be about $15,000 from Polk County Housing Trust Fund for every $30,000 from the community. So basically the Polk County Housing Trust Fund funds, if you want to think of it, they cover a little bit more than the administration costs of the program.
I guess I'm trying to figure out what kind of amplifier are we having in our money? If we're putting in
Mhm.
X amount, how much are we getting back out that are going to be provided to our residents?
Yeah, so a lot of that comes from the improvements being above and beyond the maximum amount of the loan amount. So those individual funds that are getting put back in. So we do have the Polk County Housing Trust Fund money coming in, but then additionally, a lot of folks will spend more than the 14,500 in order to
Sure.
make their improvements. So that's where a lot of that additional leverage comes in from.
Yeah, there's no way to quantify that, but yeah. Okay.
Other thoughts on direction?
Well, so where are we at in this process? Are you looking for us to say, yep, go move forward with this? Or are we looking for other options or tweaks, or where are we at in this process?
So we'd be ready to take a recommendation from you all, or if you need more time and want to discuss this more at strategic planning upcoming and come back to staff with recommendation on if you want us to pursue 1, 2, or 3 of these options, or if you want us to pivot and look at the NFC, kind of whatever direction the council would like to see us take next.
I'd like to visit more on strategic planning with it and also the neighborhood finance corp as well. I think we need to visit a little bit more, but that'd be my suggestion.
Yeah, I guess where I'm struggling still with, and I don't know if Susan, you were going here too, is I'm questioning whether 390 is the right, to me, that seems high.
Mhm.
And the 120 AMI seems high for what we're trying to do, because we have very limited funds.
Mhm.
And in my mind, we should be trying to target those who are in most need, as opposed to, I don't know. I just feel like we're getting a little bit too high in the income range and assessed value range, and we're not focusing the funds on where they should be. That, I don't know, that's just my opinion. So
I agree with the shifting focus kind of in that lower range. I'm not 100% confident with the NFC route. I think that also gets into what you guys were saying about who we're trying to target. With the NFC, they do need to qualify for a mortgage or a HELOC, so
Mhm.
credit, income, all of those things. adds into that. So folks who maybe can't access those funds because they don't qualify for their rates are essentially open market rates for credit scores, debt to income ratios, all of those things. So it kind of gets us out of that space of who I think our intended target is.
And I can second that. I've actually utilized West Des Moines Housing Improvement Program on my own home for some foundation repair. Cost a lot more than the limit. So we did have to go and get outside financing, and I'm in the NFC lending area, and I just won a conventional mortgage from my local credit union because my rate was actually lower because of the qualifications.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But I'm also, I go back to the concern about how do we let residents know about this? Because again, NFC is very well known. And, you know, MHIP is not. I never heard of it before this. So that's something that we would need to understand and how we're going to overcome those obstacles.
Sure.
So.
Susan Bree.
I'd like to continue the discussion in strategic planning. I think I needed to hear more about it and be able to kind of think about it a little more and what we need to do next.
Absolutely. It's a lot to wrap your head around, big decisions to make.
Well, is there any more information we need between now and then that would be helpful?
If I think of it, I'll email them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if, Your Honor, if that was going to be my question is as you think through this and you have questions that we can prep for and materials that we can bring to strategic planning to help with that conversation, just between now and then, you've got a little under a month. That would be very helpful, and staff would be happy to dig in deeper on any of these items as you look at this as a priority in your next 12 months.
Okay. And I'd just like to add to the conversation about how do we target the funds to the greatest need. I did like some of what I was hearing you say about some options to look at doing that and then maybe opening it up if there's not enough demand.
Absolutely.
So I do understand in administering a grant program, especially getting it started, you don't know what the demand is yet. And so we wouldn't want it to not be utilized at all.
Yeah.
But I'd like to prioritize the needs-based approach first.
I did take a look at our waiting list at Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity. And I can get the exact numbers, but it's a quick looking this afternoon on who we have in our leads list, our inquiry list from Clive. And there's a significant number. I think I saw at least 20.
Oh, wow.
And we helped residents in Clive, 5 residents in Clive in the last year with home repairs. And this was at the 60% AMI.
Are a lot of those retirees? Do you know? Yeah.
To our mostly aging in place senior assistants.
Great program.
Good to know. I wonder if it'd be helpful for you to get that to Amanda to include and turn back. And
Yeah, we can do that.
We'd be helpful for everybody to see that, I think. Well, I'm very encouraged to see where we are at this point, and we'll look forward to our strategic planning discussion. Anything else? Thanks again, Amanda.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a closed session. Matt?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff would request that the council go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5 subsection 1J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate.
Very good. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second, and I think we'll do a voice vote here. All those in favor of going in closed session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. It carries. We will go into closed session.
Just gonna pause it.
We're back in at 8:23. Let the record reflect that no action was taken while in closed session. So need a motion and a vote to come out. of
Move to
closed
close public
session.
session.
Second.
Motion second to come out of closed session. Would the council please vote? And would clerk please post that vote? We're all in suspense here.
Voice vote, yeah.
All those in favor of coming out of closed session, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We will come out of closed session. Again, let me repeat. Let the record reflect that no action was taken in the closed session. Very good. Thank you. Any correspondence, Matthew?
Yes.
Pete?
Only thing tonight, Your Honor, is thank you to all the Clive residents and businesses that helped out during the lawn watering challenges that we had and water conservation challenges. Community responded well. There should be more information coming later this week or this week and next. Nitrate levels are heading in the right direction.
Very good. Thanks, Pete. Any questions for Pete? Very good. Sadie?
No official report, Your Honor.
No official
No
report?
official report. Oh, I was just
Anything
gonna mention.
unofficial?
Yes, unofficially. No official. I just wanted to thank staff and everybody that made the Clive Festival amazing this past weekend. My family had a great time. Fireworks were great. Love the glow sticks. The kids were very excited about those. They were green. They were fun. We had a really good time. So I know those events take a lot of people to pull off, and I really appreciated how smoothly it ran, and everybody seemed to have a good time.
Good report.
I second that. The only thing I have is I'm happy to report that the new Iowa clinic on Grand Prairie Parkway is very good and efficient if anyone needs it. I highly recommend it.
Thank you very much. Can you top that, Eric?
No report, Your Honor.
Nothing this evening.
No report.
Anything legal?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Back to you, Matt.
Just a couple items. Again, enjoyed the retirement at the ceremony at the beginning of the meeting. And then we're also deep into onboarding Ron. And in fact, Jeff's got him queued up for some meetings tomorrow morning with Snyder and Associates and some regional entities. And we're working hard on that and had some great meetings so far and a lot more to come. But so we're fully into that. And then Ron closes on his house tomorrow. So he will be a Des Moines Metro resident here very soon. Also wanted to mention the Clive Festival. Again, great work by staff, especially during hot conditions, particularly appreciated. And the turnout we had for the ribbon cutting. I think on a hot Friday afternoon at 4:00, we invited about 110, 115, and we had about 100. So that was pretty amazing to see that. And staff did a great job of putting the awards together and getting that all squared away. So again, very appreciative of that. Just a reminder too, got all y'all lined up for August 3rd and 4th for your one-on-one calls with Lyle leading into strategic planning. So you should have all those on your calendar. And I'm happy to report that a little over a week from now, we will have the trail reopened under the interstate. So we got confirmation today that the trail will be reopened at 5:00 on July 31st. Ahead of that.
Waited to the very last minute.
Yep, they pretty much did. And there might be still, there'll still be some permanent surfacing that they'll have to do a little bit later in the year, but we'll have it open and safe for use. We'll probably do some cleanup ourselves just in terms of making sure there isn't any vegetation that grew onto the trail. Our park staff will do a run through there, but we're discussing among staff when we'll say we're officially opening it, whether it's first thing Saturday morning or Friday night, but that's happy to report that that's coming. So that's all I have, Your Honor, unless there's any questions.
All right. Any questions for Matt? Anything else for the good of the order? We'll stand adjourned at 8:28.